And there we go. Hello everyone. Welcome back for more of whatever I end up calling this. I still don't have a set title for conspiracy board nonsense here. But joining me again is Layla M.
Yoshi.
StarPrincessHLC.
Yoshi.
And JK Lantern.
Yoshi.
And apparently, they are all sad Yoshis for the moment.
Oh god.
Turns out Sentinel 18 was eaten by a Yoshi.
My god, it all makes sense.
I mean, I do have a theory about Sentinel 18.
You do.
I have shared this with Layla.
And I believe it.
I will be sharing this during the next recording session, which, as of the time of this, will be fairly far in the future, but at this point in the game, where we are in the game here, for what we're about to say, Sentinel 18 hasn't really come up yet.
It has not.
We're still in the tutorial area for the game.
We have this many connections and we're still in the tutorial.
Yes!
And we're not even close to how crazy it'll get.
Okay, it's question mark, question mark, question mark.
Hello there.
I can't say who that is yet because we haven't finished Danganronpa yet at the time of this recording.
It's Size Off.
I'm gonna eat that guy.
What about the baby?
You keep away from my baby. I have maternal instincts.
What? What about the friendly persuader?
I will persuade you friendlyly to stay away from my baby.
Okay. So we last left off at the end of video 11. So we move on to video 12 here. Event 263 in the timeline pops up next, and we are in 1985. Sekigahara is on a rooftop looking for an escape. A man in black follows him, but A gets a jump on him with a futuristic gun of some type. They exchange words, confirming that the men in black are indeed looking for him, and he doesn't even remember his own name at this moment. They claim he came from another dimension, and the MIB goes for his gun, but A shoots him with the stun setting. A searches the guy, finds handcuffs, a wallet, and a large freaking walkie-talkie, slightly bigger than a 1985 cell phone, and ends up taking everything but the handcuffs. He rifles through the wallet, finds the money, and notes that the bills are completely different to the bills he notices about. He wonders about the walkie-talkie's range and realizes he's going to have to get down to the river to make an escape, but needs to get something to eat first because he hadn't actually had food in 2 days.
Clearly he needs yakisoba pan.
Clearly he needs something. We fade out and fade back into event 257 on the timeline, where it's 2 days before that happened. A wakes up in an alley and questions where he is, how he got there, why he has a strange gun on him, why he can't remember anything, and who the dead woman next to him is. The woman turns out to be Chihiro Morimura, and she is laying face down the alley next to him, and after he briefly checks her body, he finds her bleeding from the abdomen via what looks like a gunshot wound. There's an empty pill bottle laying on the ground, labeled Oral NM C0204, and A assumes this belongs to him. Examining her corpse further revealed a piece of paper with the numbers 443685, 3214 written on it. Looking through his own pockets reveals Iori's student ID that he picked up earlier and a key to possibly some type of vehicle. He looks near where he was laying when he was woke up and he finds a manila envelope. insider papers that list the name Chihiro Morimura and have instructions that read, if capture is not possible, then shoot to kill. The men in black show up, and A hides while they mention they are authorized to shoot to kill, and A assumes he must be their culprit for the murder of Chihiro. We fade out, fade in again, to event 264 on the timeline. A managed to actually evade the men in black and is walking along the Kaede riverbed. Yuki shows up, crosses his path, and tells him they have a way to track his general location, so he needs to get to a more populated area. And also, she left the package she borrowed from him right there. She leaves. A touches the box, and it turns out to be a, if not BJ itself, a BJ-style robot that immediately starts to play a recorded message to A from A in a different time or place. A introduces himself to himself and said if everything went according to plan, he's now talking to a version of himself with no memories, that this is not his world, he's from another dimension, and he was only supposed to be there temporarily. But a bad accident made a lot of people unable to return home. There is a way to return home, but they can't see it, they being in quotes, so the information has been hidden elsewhere, in a location known only to this alternate version of A, and he's tasked with finding it. The message concludes, the BJ unit flies away, and the video ends.
I want a BJ unit.
I know, right?
Baby.
I wonder if this will be slightly faster.
Gun. You take the moon and you take this gun and you find Schnitzel and you shoot his son.
Rada, rada, rada. I
Is your boyfriend?
Yes?
I never watched that show, but there were a couple of clips I've seen that I'm like, wow, this is actually brilliant. Well, like the one where the show runs out of budget, so the voice actors have a car wash.
The best part is that when they lose the budget for animation, it cuts to them in the booth.
I only vaguely remember that.
Look what you've done!
Sister.
Some poor animator's gonna have to draw this!
I don't remember much of the show. Star, you unlocked the memory of I'm not your boyfriend. Like, I remember the exact context. It was because Crazy Chick had a crush on Chowder, and then he like wrote a whole song about it, and she completely missed the point and sang it to herself like it was a love song.
Panini. Yes, because it's perfectly fine when women harass men too.
It was the 2000s. We're better than that.
Yeah.
Better than that now.
Also, I remember the Schmengerbread one because everybody was putting that in various like shorts and clips and such, and nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong.
I mean, that's kind of how things work. Okay, so
Murphy's
let's
Law.
see now. We've got a phaser. I'm just gonna kind of put this over here. It'll have to be moved later, but
I'm suddenly reminded of friggin' Star Munchkin. Because you could have because these were all upgrades that could stack, but you could have the laser, the phaser, the razor, the taser, the banana panafo phaser. I remember playing a game of Star Munchkin and getting them all once, and I'm like, I don't care if I win at this point. I have won in my heart.
Let's say you.
Well, in my contest, you've already lost.
Where did I put the men in black here?
Probably connected to Natsuno.
They're connected to Will Smith.
I should rewatch Men in Black 3.
I did put the men in black on here. I remember doing that. Oh, I haven't even attached them to anything yet.
They're just there.
They're just there because Natsuno saw them, but they didn't actually interact with her yet.
They're the Annihilator.
Something like that. So let's see. They are hunting for. They are hunting for A there. Let's see. You dimensionally shifted. The phrasing and such works out for me. That's all it has to work out for. As long as these are sticking around this time, and I hope they do. And let's see. He woke up next to...
Remember, I thought you were going to say he woke up naked.
That happens later, I think. Maybe not to him, but it does happen later to somebody. But he woke up next to a very dead Chihiro Morimura.
Oh man, they took my kidney.
Dead but not naked, Chihiro Morimura.
Oh, is that be even more awkward?
As opposed to naked but not dead Chihiro Morimura.
Let's see.
Anyway, interrupted you, Lantern?
No, I don't think you did, actually.
Okay.
If you did, it wasn't anything worth hearing, trust me.
Okay.
And looking for the medicine card.
Ah, yes, the medicine drug. Only idiots use the medicine drug. We need mouse bites. I'm so glad Rug found that GIF.
And let's see, because he was taking the medicine. He also becomes a starburst at this point in time, I think.
Unexplainably juicy.
I was going to say, what flavor?
I want to say with him, lemon. And he's carrying papers.
But are they on the podium?
No,
They are not.
they are not. These are not the papers on the podium. Those are something else. Actually, no, wait a second.
Whenever I get, like, 2 lemons, 2 oranges, or a combination of the two in like a pack of Starburst, I call it a jackpot, because those are the best flavors.
See, I like the pink ones.
Mm.
No, he wasn't carrying it. He just took the damn thing.
Actually, me figuring out that I have synesthesia was because of a long conversation with Courage where I was talking about the differences in flavor in citrus. That came about because I was talking about the flavor of something else entirely.
Because you mentioned that it had a pitch.
That's precisely it.
You have synesthesia?
Oh yeah. Flavors have a pitch sensation for me. And it took me until... Like, I had already learned about synesthesia long before I figured... I was, like, having Courage was asking me how something I made tasted, and I described it in terms of pitch. And he's like, what the fuck do you mean by that? I'm like, you know. And, like, we ended up chasing our tails for, like, an hour before I realized, wait, this isn't how you experience taste. No, this isn't how people experience taste. What the fuck's wrong with you? Oh. Oh. Huh. Neat.
Let's see. He had a key on him. He was carrying kill instructions, which called out Chihiro.
When was this conversation?
Years ago, I assume.
I was in my late 20s, I want to say. So, like, close to 10 years ago.
Nice, nice.
And considering I learned about synesthesia when I was, like, 18, yeah, you would have thought the penny would have dropped faster, but, you know, like, I have no first-person knowledge of how anyone else experiences taste. As far as I know, this is how people experience taste. It is normal, and it's like, no, you idiot. What? No.
You fool.
You fool! No one experiences taste like this.
You absolute buffoon.
I mean, how would you know unless it was a subject that came up at some point in time?
True.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I learned I have snowflake vision.
Snowflake vision?
Yeah, like everything I see, it almost seems like there's like a slight film on it, like a little bit of static. I thought that's just how everybody saw it, but no, apparently not.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a different person. So he gets to be a yellow card there. So yeah, that kind of busied up that little section of the map here.
It looks like a propeller on the end of a boat now.
Kind of. So, with all those strings in place, and by the way, we are up to 63 cards and 95 strings. Just putting it out there. We move on to video 13, which is a combat phase. Again, we're kind of immediately after the events of the last wave, and we're up to like 5:21 p.m. that evening. Keitaro's on the field in Sentinel 19. Takatoshi jumps on communications in Sentinel 12 and asks if Keitaro's alright. Keitaro expresses surprise that it's Takatoshi, and he replies, "No matter the war, it's an honor to fight at your side." Ryoko Shinonome shows up in Sentinel 14, and Rinya shows up in Sentinel 22, asks her if she deployed without permission from Shikishima. Jiro Kurabe in Sentinel 13 jumps on comms, and A shows up in Sentinel 11. Iori shows up in Sentinel 15. Rinya asks A why he's in that Sentinel, and A says it's functional. Takatoshi balks at Sekigahara and tries to go back to the front lines, but Rinya convinces him to stick around. A says Rinya calls the shots because he's the only one with command experience. Rinya makes the assault team A, Ryoko, Jiro, Takatoshi, Keitaro, and Rinya, with the rest on defense until the Aegis system activates. A seems to sigh and say, "We're really doing this, huh?" about Operation Aegis. And that gets us a few new cards here. We have, I believe we finally got the last pilot in place here. In Ryoko Shinonome.
That's gonna be fun much later.
We can't talk about it yet. Okay. Not many strings for this because there wasn't a whole lot going on. But we still have a handful. First we have... Gee, where are you, Keitaro? There you are. Keitaro and Takatoshi were former war comrades. And at this point, no, we don't know what that means. Not yet. Yoko here shows up piloting Sentinel 14. We'll find a different spot for her eventually.
Yeah, we will.
But right now, she can sit there kind of on the fringe because, shock and awe, it's going to be a while before we see much involving her at all. Even though when we finally get to her story, dear God, the revelation that gave me about one very specific thing.
Oh, I'm still waiting for some other big bombshells to drop.
Let's see, Ryoko apparently at this point works for Shikishima at the,
We really are here just to suffer.
It's very possible, yeah. So let's see.
That's the only reason this LP exists. So
again,
with us.
Again, I love this game. It has become one of my favorite games of all time. But like the entire time we played through it the first time, just when I thought I had a handle on everything, blam! God damn it, the game kicked me in the dick again.
See, when we start recording next Monday, I've got two major theories to talk about.
Yeah.
One of them I shared with Layla, the other one I haven't shared yet because I'm still like, there's a hole here I need to patch up. But anyway, we move on because that is with the revelation of 2 more Sentinels having specific pilots. We move on, and that ended the tutorial in the game, so we had video 14, which was us unlocking an unholy number of things, thanks to me grinding up combat missions. But we resumed gameplay in video 15. We returned to Juro, and the event isn't specifically listed in the timeline. It may be 157, but can't be completely sure. But it is Juro in 1985, standing in the Class 1B after school. Kyuta walks up to him and says he can't find Shu, and goes to read a manga in the back of the room. We have Miwako, Tomi, and Iori talking about hanging out in the back of the room, but Iori has plans and they kind of split up for the day. Juro says that Kyuta can't just keep hanging out at Shu's house because he'll be annoyed, but Kyuta doesn't seem to care. Kyuta then tells Juro he has the hardcore foreign movie he's been wanting to see, phrasing, and he missed the airing of UFO Wars on TV, but Juro says he recorded it in EP mode. Kyuta insists that they try to see the movie on Shu's TV, so the pair head off to the cafeteria to see if they can find him. In the cafeteria, they don't find Shu, but Juro sees Natsuno and talks to her. He asks about how much longer that guy is staying, and she says it'll be a while longer, and then runs off. Kyuta asks who she is, and Juro says she's his neighbor. It fades out, and we fade in, and we get an actual event that I can pop up in the timeline at 1:15. Juro flashbacks to a few days earlier where he wakes up in front of a fully loaded dinner table in his house. Megumi walks in from the kitchen and asks Juro to set the table. He turns off the TV, grabs some chopsticks, and he kinda notes that they match like a married couple's would. Jiro's having trouble not thinking with his other head and realizes he needs to find a way to kick Megumi out of the house. No, that's what happens. It is what happens.
He says specifically, like, come on, puberty's a thing.
Yep.
The phrasing!
It was his front tail.
It was his front tail.
He used his front tail!
Hell of a way to hold a spear up. Anyway, shortly after he realizes he needs to find a way to kick Megumi out of the house, she asks if they're ready to start dinner. He tells her he's having trouble sleeping because she's there, and her confusion leads him to be frustrated about her obliviousness to his hormonal urges. He then tells her she needs to find somewhere else to live by next month. The doorbell rings, and Natsuno barges in as Megumi goes and hides. Jiro chides her about the knocking, but she says Granny Tamao and her are best buds, and since they're neighbors, she knows her way around the place. Natsuno notices food on the table as she asks for a favor, and Megumi comes out of hiding to say hello to Natsuno, very much out of jealousy, and kind of fear that Natsuno's moving in on her turf. Natsuno ponders this revelation for a moment, and Keitaro gets to enter the house. Keitaro muses about the house still standing, and Natsuno says she wants Keitaro to stay at Kurabe's house for a few days. Keitaro asks if Jiro is Tamao's grandson, and Jiro asks how Keitaro knows Natsuno, but Natsuno just kind of bulldozes the conversation and blackmails Jiro to let him know that if he lets Keitaro stay, she will not tell anyone he's living with a girl. Natsuno leaves, and Megumi invites Keitaro to dinner, obviously relieved that there's no competition there.
I remember the first time I played, I was a little annoyed with Natsuno here. Just because it's like, Jiro is clearly having a bad enough time. You don't need to blackmail the poor boy. Luckily, she's a charming and endearing character.
Yep, she makes up for that in other ways. But we have one new card in Tamao.
I will say, I'm not a big fan of Megumi, but like, whose fault is it that you were thinking with your second head, bud? Not hers.
I mean, being a teenager has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some things that are very hard to control.
To be fair, Megumi spends a lot of the game thinking with her head on the man in the boat.
Yeah.
This is true. You're using that since you learned that phrase, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
My first use of it.
Megumi is actually... I remember talking to Griffin about this a little bit ago, because she and her husband devoured the fucking game. Megumi... Griffin was on record that she liked all of the characters. She didn't hate any of them. Megumi was one of the two she wanted to violently shake.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I can't blame her either.
This won't be going out to the middle of nowhere for very long here.
But perhaps I've never been in love before.
Jiro is not concerned with love. He is concerned with having to live with a girl and all that will imply to the world and all that entails in his own mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, was that why he was telling her to...
Like, he was genuinely worried about, like, someone's gonna find out and I'm gonna get expelled.
I thought he was... I thought his whole thing... I thought the whole... Don't you understand what sort of situation I'm in? I thought he was talking about the fact that he was horny.
That's part of it. That is part of it.
That is also part of it.
Yes.
Bro, the horny thing isn't her fault.
No.
Yeah.
But the fact
She's
that
also horny.
The fact that if it gets out that he's living with a girl, he gets kicked out of school, and it's a very good chance you know, considering what he knows about Japan and the culture, he gets to become homeless.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew all that, but also, like, down boy.
Yeah.
And
She's not even worth it.
To be fair, I remember in combat, whenever you used Megumi,
She kicked butt.
she had a tendency to just become a one-woman wrecking machine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could see that. Megumi has
someone
a very
to
interesting.
Juro, she
mix
took
of
it
things
personally.
going on
Yeah.
there. Let's see, Tamao and Natsuno are neighbors. Which
Like, I think the
that
big ones
technically-
I think the big ones I used in combat a lot were like Megumi and Yori, and I think Takatoshi.
You had Takatoshi
And-
beat the shit out of a lot of people.
And Yuki. Yuki got a lot of use too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know who my star is most of the time so far.
Mm.
You've seen me fight a few times. You should know who I am partial to using.
Actually, I used Natsuno and Tomi a lot too, just because Missile Rain was.
Okay, let's make sure. Yeah, that did stay good. But no, I tend to favor using Takatoshi as much as possible.
Because the yakisoba pen is mighty.
Because, dear God, he's a freaking tank. And he is a freaking amazing.
He is a truck elemental made of trucks, who
Yep.
also yeet trucks at other things.
Although I want to use Yuki more because she also has a ceramic plate. And thus she is a flying tank.
Yeah. Her kick ability is powerful.
Yeah, she's kind of low on the EP, though. She doesn't get to use it very much before she has to go rest for a bit. Okay. That's all the strings and all that. We have, I mean, Tamao's our new card. But
I currently see Rodan breathing fire at something.
oh, for a game about kaiju.
Mm.
So now we're up to video 16 and event 195. It's 1985 at the Karabe house and it's dinner time. This is Megumi's story, I believe. Yeah, this is Megumi's story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Megumi walks in and calls out that she's here, and Fluffy tells her to take a load off since it is her house. Fluffy and Megumi banter a bit, then Fluffy asks about how she felt shooting Rinya with the magic gun. Event 150, as she fades back and recalls the happy moment. Megumi recalls that they shot Rinya back in the Sakura High School old building passageway. She waits on Goto to show up after she called him, and Fluffy tells her she's extinguishing the evil in whoever she shoots. Rinya shows up and just asks her why she didn't just go to the hangar, but she says she doesn't like seeing the robot. Rinya says there's an infection in the Sentinel that needs a password, so even if she tried to pilot it, she'd just end up in the same state as Juro. Megumi has trouble shooting Rinya, and Fluffy calls her a dumbass and an idiot. Actually calls her a dumbass and an idiot. Rinya then goes on to say that if they have to, they'll use the Sentinels, and Juro can still fight. This actually pisses off Megumi, and she shoots Rinya and hits him in the arm. Rinya goes...
My poor injured boyfriend. Don't make my poor injured not boyfriend fight. Blam!
Yep. Rinya ends up dazed on one knee holding his arm, and Fluffy grudgingly approves of this. And Megumi gets out of there before Rinya actually comes back to his senses. We return to event 195, where Megumi is kind of still hesitant to continue the task, but Fluffy reminds her of the contract and tells her that her future's looking pretty bleak, restating that the terms of the contract is he'll grant her a wish as long as she shoots the witches he tells her to. If she fails, the contract is broken. Megami dons a nearby apron to start preparing dinner, and Fluffy reminds her of basic gun maintenance like, I don't know, reloading. He asks her to get it out to show him, she does, and he approves of the state. She balks at the gun being a gun, and Fluffy kinda chides her and asks if she'd prefer a magical wand instead. There was a line about the cat not having thumbs, but I didn't write down the exact context, so, you know. Jiro returns home, prompting Fluffy to go hide, and is disappointed the baseball game is still going because it's delaying the start of his movie. Megami sighs. And we fade out to black. We fade back in to event 196, which is presumably the next day. It does not actually specify, but more than likely. Megami is out at the front gates of the school, arriving at the same time as most of her classmates. She pauses before going in to talk to Jiro, and he chides her for ruining the plan not to be seen together before breaking off to go talk to Shu. Jiro makes plans to hang out with Shu after school, and Megami hangs around the gate to talk to Fluffy. Fluffy tells her to meet him in the passageway after school for her next target. And that's the video.
Yeah, Fluffy.
Fluffy.
You're gonna have so much fun with Fluffy later.
I mean, Fluffy's already on the table, so... Fluffy's already up here.
I feel like he's one of the pre-established characters, like...
I do
Cursed.
too. I very much feel like he is someone we've already seen, but in a different form.
Like, they Salem Sabrina his ass.
Something like that, yeah. Let's see what I need.
Salem was my favorite thing on Sabrina
I
back when it was on TJIF.
I'm surprised how much Sabrina was in my childhood. I watched both cartoons and the live action show a little bit. Like the old ones.
Yeah.
Right now I can put the gun right about here. Megami ended up shooting Rinya with said magic gun. Yeah, not much new information for the board in that one.
She hit him with the pew pew.
Yep. More like the hypo spray, as far as I can tell, but even though the hypo spray doesn't work at range. So, the next video starts out with event 197. It's not a new chapter, but I did have to break the chapter for time's sake. We are continuing on from the last section. It's now after school on the 3rd floor hallway. A couple of students gossip about how the old building seems to have a bunch of shady people hanging around it at night, as Megami gets ready to head to the passageway, as Fluffy asked her to do. She spots Jiro in the hallway and starts to approach him, but Iori reaches him first and they discuss action movies, while you can see Megumi get more jealous, and it boils over. She gives Iori a death glare and hopes Iori turns out to be a witch. Megami finally approaches Jiro and remarks on how close he and Iori are getting, and he chides her again for talking to him in public before sprinting off. Megami sighs and heads off to the passageway. Fade out, fade in to event 198, as Megami arrives at the passageway and sees a cat that looks like Fluffy, but only runs away from her and dives into a bush. As she rummages through the bush, Fluffy shows up from elsewhere and asks what she's doing. She thinks he was just over there, but he calls her crazy and tells her to follow him. He tells her the next witch is inside the building with short hair and a uniform with no buttons, but she needs to be careful because he has an actual gun and a propensity to use it. Megami goes into the building, fade to black. Fade into event 199 when Megami kind of stalks the hallway with her gun drawn like someone who's never actually held a gun before, peeking into classrooms as she advances. She goes up and down the hall once. She doesn't find anybody, but Sekigahara shows up soon after and aims his real gun at her from behind, chiding her for being way too noisy and way too obvious. Recognizes her from Sector 3, and Megami recognizes him as being one of Jiro's friends. Asks her who's using her, and she replies she's fine with being used as long as it's for Jiro, and she runs away. The goddamn simp.
My mic was muted, and I literally said simp under my breath.
Event 42 happens after that scene fades out, and you might notice I said 42, and we were in event 199, so we are flashing back kind of hard. But as time-wise, we're jumping ahead to 2025, and Megami runs down a destroyed road. She sees Jiro's Sentinel in very bad shape, and Jiro Izumi, not Kurabe, but Izumi at this point, teleports out of it right in front of her, and he's in about as good a shape as the Sentinel is, which is to say he looks like he's on the verge of death. Jiro says he couldn't save everyone. Megami is happy he's alive, and she tries to rush off to get help. Jiro asks her to wait, and she protests because he needs the help, but he insists she stay. She does, cradles his head in her arms as he slowly dies, saying he wanted to protect what was important to her. A BJ unit just kind of flies by overhead, robot go burr, and A shows up soon afterward. Megami begs A to help Jiro, but A just talks about the damage the Sentinel does to the pilot. Irreversible brain damage, loss of memory, and potentially becoming a husk. Only a few minutes can be fatal in most circumstances, but Izumi kind of stuck around in that Sentinel for about 2 hours. A confirms Megami's question about him also being from the future by saying they fought together, and the scene fades out. So does the video.
I don't know whether it's spite, contrarianism, or something genuine, but I kind of ship Jiro and Iori.
I mean, we've seen several instances of them working together, so you're not far off. I mean, they did bomb a factory together. But that happens later.
Well, one of my notes may be about that very thing. I'm not going to tell you what the context of that note is.
Fair enough. Okay, let's see. So first, we write down the new note is, hey look, Sector 3 is a new thing we need to pay attention to. And for the strings here, we have Megami being jealous of Iori. Which I need to move Iori's card at some point in time, because I'm having a hard time reading it. Having a very hard time reading it at this point in time.
We have a Sherman, by the way.
Hi, Sherman.
Sherm Gaming 69.
Nice.
And then let's see. Megami tried to shoot A and failed horribly. Stick around, goddammit. This website is not the best about keeping the notes around. I mean, I can go back and redo them. That's not a big problem. It's annoying, though. Let's see. And we learn that Megami comes from Sector 3, which is card 69, by the way.
Nice.
That's your number, Sherm.
Kind of a very boring card to get that number, but
Somebody had to get it.
had to get it somewhere, and it just turned out to be a sector. Let's see.
Sector 69.
Yep, that lost its notes from earlier. Which, I mean, I have the other notes at hand. I should have the other notes at hand here. And we will put you here.
My little munchkin man. And they're looking cute. Like
Rolling
Ranger.
on my thumb.
Man.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't want to save things the way it needs to. And we learned that Juro Izumi and A fought together at some point in time in the future.
They will.
Or at least the future is the way this game tells it. It's complicated. It's like everything else in this goddamn game.
It's a Facebook status.
Yes.
Facebook statuses are less complicated than this.
You can pinpoint the exact moment where Sarah realizes, oh, this is gonna be a ride.
I think that was like 3 videos in.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, I get it. This means this, and then the exact opposite of what you said comes up. Oh.
Oh. Oh no.
Son of a bitch! Anyway.
Son of a bitch.
So,
Oh no.
we now move on to video number 18, where we're going back to Natsuno's story. Descriptions kind of point to this being an alternate route for Event 86, but not specifically stated.
Oh yeah, some routes have multiple endings, don't they?
Yeah, some of these events even have multiple endings, and they're not specifically called out in the game yet.
Fuck me silly.
So we're still in 1985, and Natsuno walks into the schoolgirls' track and field room. We've seen this before, except this time she sees BJ just kind of sitting on the floor, and she gripes in the robot's general direction about not hiding. She tells BJ he needs to stay hidden, and he just kind of keeps prompting her to go to the gate. She thinks back to earlier that morning, where she walked into the locker room and told BJ she can't keep him at home because he needs to hide in the locker for the time being. She'll take him to the gate after school and warns him again about the men in black. The quick little flashback ends, and BJ is now back in the locker, and Natsuno tells him to stay in there again. Her house is out as a hiding place because she has nosy and noisy little brothers that will get into things and find him. But in the meantime, she has learned that BJ is looking specifically for Sentinel 17, as he used to pilot it. Natsuno leaves the locker room, and then comes back to find BJ on the floor again, this time not in robot form, but in a box, but with another track member in the room. The other member just kind of pokes Natsuno about the box, Natsuno deflects by just calling it a secret. The other track member just kind of rolls her eyes and dismisses it as more silly UFO stuff and leaves.
I mean, it is silly UFO stuff.
Natsuno again chides BJ before shoving him back in the PE bag and running out of the room. She walks outside, and several of the men in black are looking around. She manages to slip by them without being noticed and heads off to Tokisaka Shrine. Fade out, fade in to, once again, we have an event that doesn't have a specific tag, potentially an alternate route for Event 87. Natsuno and BJ arrive at Tokisaka Shrine. BJ brings up the screens and starts a search routine. Sector 1 already searched with no Sentinel found. Sector 2 was 2065, where they had seen the tripods. Sector 5 at 1945 remains unchecked, so BJ and Natsuno shift to that sector. Event 89 happens as we finally get a confirmed event. Natsuno shows up in 1945 in the old school building, which is new at the time. Natsuno lets BJ out of the PE bag, and he starts to ask her about, presumably, the Sentinel. And she talks about not changing the past. She muses about seeing her 3-year-old dad, but BJ just kind of keeps insisting on the Sentinel. Other people show up. Natsuno and BJ hide, only for Rinya and a mystery woman, we don't know who this is at this point in time, to walk into the hall. He gives her a pill supply for the month, and she asks to confirm if they're the same pills she had last month and wants honesty, because the pills she had been taking let her see the future, but the latest batch made her feel bad when she takes them. He tells her to continue the treatment to eliminate the nightmares and let her revert to her original state as they're putting an end to the operation. She says she can't forget, as it's the only hope of survival, and tries to remember the weapon at Ayame Pass, but she can't. Natsuno ponders why Rinya would be there 40 years in the past and writes it off as his grandfather. Even though she just time-traveled herself, keep in mind. BJ keeps pulling on her sleeve, metaphorically, and says Ayame Pass to get Natsuno to take him there. Natsuno asks about the park, but BJ says it doesn't exist in 1945. Natsuno crams him in the PE bag again, and they leave. A lot happened in that, and it's a lot I can't actually put on the board, because we don't know any names at this point for certain people. So, let's see. Where are you?
I think I see, like, land coming up to the edge of a cliff, and oh look, there's like a splatter where we shoved off all the characters.
Oh, there's Hortensia.
There goes Soda.
We need to grab him and push him over again.
There's Yuma Kokohide.
Oh, look, there's Rinya. Don't be careful when you shove Soda off. You don't want to miss the chance to make them hit.
Make out! Make out! Make out! Ruthless, I love it.
I love how, like, unapologetic, like, oh sure, this character has these reasons, but we don't care, we're shoving them.
For home, shove right off for home.
Like, Kyoko Kirigiri, objectively a well-written character, but also shut the fuck up. I hate you so much.
Yeah,
You're so annoying.
That is valid. Like, several of the characters in Danganronpa 2, sure, they have backstories and they have reasons for being the way that they are. And, like, you may not agree with the fact that I have them on the cliff list. Notably, Nekomaru. Don't care. Shove.
Yeah. But yeah, we have mystery woman that Rinya is medicating, and that's all we know about him. We don't know who that is yet.
We do not.
It may be a while before we find out who that is.
I remember when it finally came up, you were very annoyed.
Was I?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, anyway. Video 19 happens, and Event 90, Natsuno and BJ arrive at the Yame Pass secret factory and find a Sentinel. We are still back in the 1940s. BJ brings up a screen and begins working as Natsuno asks about how it got there, and BJ said it was shifted there, and that it's Sentinel 19. BJ confirms they're searching for Sentinel 17, and that Sentinel 19 belonged to a comrade, and BJ can't pilot the thing. BJ says that his comrade is dead by declaring there is a cease to his vital functions. Further scanning indicates that Sentinel's 19 system has been altered by being bypassed and rebuilt, which should be impossible with the technology of the era. Kaitaro is heard off screen, and Natsuno shoves BJ in the PE bag and hides. Kitaro muses why Professor Doji is suspending operations, as Kitaro knows Sentinel 19 well enough to use it on the front lines. He starts to get worked up, then realizes he's starting to sound like Takatoshi and calms down, trusting in the higher-ups to know what they're doing. He says he'll bide his time until the order comes and he'll be ready to lay down his life. He leaves, Natsuno comes out of hiding, and at that point Okino walks in from the other side of the bridge. Natsuno has to immediately hide again. Okino looks at Sentinel 19, saying it had been a little while. Okino scans the Sentinel, says an alternate route was constructed, and on his second test subject, no less. Okino praises Kitaro, saying nanomachine reconstruction agitates the brain, but Kitaro endured the process without losing his mind. Okino says that with this data he can take over the Sentinels, but he has to leave for now since Professor Doji's security detail will return soon. First, he removes a lock on the Sentinel, then adds extra code that will allow the data to spread from Kitaro to the others by coming into contact with him. Natsuno and BJ leave, Natsuno asking who that was. Fade out, fade into Event 91. The pair arrive at Tokisaka Shrine. Natsuno frees BJ to attempt to activate the ship to take them home, but Okino shows up immediately afterward and they are forced to hide behind a tree. Okino's happy the date is complete and is glad negotiating with the professor was the right choice. Okino opens up the floating windows, realizes the settings to the gate have been tampered with and the gate compromised. Okino sets it back to the original key and shifts out. BJ and Natsuno come out of hiding. BJ opens up his floating screens and says, well, the key's changed so he can't shift, and it will take 78 hours and 24 minutes to decrypt the new key. Natsuno asks if there's another way back home, and BJ says the gate and the Sentinel are the only safe means to shift. Before they can discuss it further, Kitaro shows up and they hide behind a tree again. Kitaro muses that he thinks he saw a visiting god via the light flash that happened when Okino shifted out, and he's spent his entire first day off already, and Chihiro's probably worried about him. BJ makes robot noises, and Kitaro hears and calls for them to show themselves. Natsuno tries to make a break from it, but Kitaro does block her. And then the video kinda comes to an end at that point. Okay, yep, I'm going to want one of you.
Medicating. Your stack of notes hasn't been out.
I didn't want to do that, game. Or website in this case.
The game of conspiracies.
Nope, it's not going to let me just copy those over for some reason. Let's see. So we have 4 new cards. At this point, we know you as Chihiro Miura.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see,
Fuck,
the
dude.
Ayame Pass Factory here. Right now, we only know you as BJ's comrade. We don't know who that is.
Yet.
We do not know who that is yet. We don't even know it as of the time of actually making this video. We played further in the game. We still don't know who that actually is. Let's see. 5, 6. Update. So let's see. At the Ayame Pass Factory here. Come on, where's my Sentinel? I mean, I know who it's attached to, but dear God.
I think I see a fish in there now.
There's Sentinel 19.
Fish!
They store that there. Let's see, we have BJ and his unknown comrade. That will get changed later, but... let's see...
It's gonna be so relieving and so funny for Star and Lantern when we finally get to the part where everything makes sense. Like everything just clicks into place. Like, ah! It all makes sense now. We may be freaks, but we're freaks with tape and claws and magic wands. And together, we can stop Farquaad. The escape from
fly.
Let's see...
Happy Pride, everyone!
Happy Donkey Kong December.
Happy Donkey Kong December. I closed Michigan with that last night. Ellie and Chris were so confused. I love spreading the magic.
Let's see... There's Okino.
Ooh, we got lightning over here.
Okino reprogrammed this Sentinel.
I imagine the next time we're recording the game, we're going to get a couple of bombshells, and Sarad's just going to go, fuck it, we're not doing the conspiracy board anymore. I'm done. Fuck all of you.
I think you underestimate my ability to stick to a very bad idea.
There's 1/2 specific things I'm thinking of.
Yep.
And Star knows precisely what they are.
Yep.
I've already struck a match to my theoretical corkboard.
Okay, so let's see. We've got those strings and cards in place. We're up to video 20. Once again, we've got an event that doesn't actually have a specific starting spot in the archive, but it seems like it's an alternate event 49. Back in 1985, in the Kayakicho shopping district, we have everyone's favorite moment from this game. Where Iori, Miwako, and Tomi are walking down a street. The three stop at the crosswalk. They stop in the crosswalk, technically, and kind of stand in the crosswalk for a good long time. Don't ask me. But Tomi and Miwako were talking about a cat that Miwako saw, and it kind of keeps disappearing before Tomi or Iori can actually turn around and find it. Iori asks Miwako if she wants to go by the record store, and she says she does because the new idol group's lead singer looks like Shu. Tomi rolls her eyes and said all the guys at school suck. Miwako espouses on the virtues Miwako espouses on the virtues of being in love, and Tomi complains about how all the boys act around Chihiro due to her cup size, and Shu is way too shallow.
28 loops later?
You know, I'm reading that, and it's like, huh, because of things. I think Star and Lantern know exactly why I'm going, huh, when I read that, because I haven't read that in a while.
You know.
Miwako then asks about Rinya, and Tomi even passes on that one. Miwako says Shu isn't continuing to play basketball for some reason, and adds that he also quit soccer due to just lack of interest. Iori asks Miwako if she's going to send her confession to where she needs to go, but Miwako says her luck is bad this week, so no, but she tells Iori she should get a 4-leaf clover because it's a love charm. Everyone is confused at this, but if you include it in a love letter to your crush, your wish will come true. Tomi rolls her eyes and dismissively asks if it was put a photo of your crush in your pillow last week. The cat finally shows up for Iori, and she attempts to approach it, but it runs away. Tomi mentions she's...
I can't help but feel like you paid an absurd amount of attention to this conversation.
I paid an absurd amount of attention to every conversation.
I'm just saying it's a testament to how long we were stuck there.
Let's see. Tomi mentioned she's still hungry, so the girls think about what to go eat. Finally, goddamn, it took us a while to get there. Miwako wants soft serve because it's hot, but Tomi wants crepes. At this point, thanks to prompting, Iori agrees with Tomi, and the three go off to get crepes. They all come back to the street with double strawberry crepes, and Tomi remarks that if she'd gotten the tuna and mayo crepe, she could have fed the cat. To which I think most of us in the call at the time went, "No, don't give the cat mayo. Please, for the love of God, no. You do not want to clean out the litter box after you give out the cat mayo. It will not be pleasant." Miwako then says she's carrying cat treats instead, and the cat then shows up. Miwako kind of wonders if they're going to gain weight from the crepes, and Iori says they did eat a lot of sugar, which Tomi chides them for dieting because they want to look good for boys. Iori slowly approaches the cat, but this time manages to actually ask Miwako to break out the cat treats. They feed the cat, and discussing how the cat near the school might be different, Tomi asks what Iori was talking to Juro about at school earlier. We flash back to Event 53. Iori recalls an earlier meeting with Juro at the front gates of the school. She arrived at school at 8:10 and sees the cat perched on the fence next to the school gate. Juro walks by and Iori asks him if he's still having strange dreams. He says he still does, and Iori talks to him about a dream involving a UFO underground. Tomi walks to the gate and greets Iori while Megami stands on the other side of the gate looking slightly dejected. And probably gaining even more jealousy towards Iori. Iori walks over to Tomi and greets her. Juro follows and asks if they can talk more, and Megami just sprints out of the scene. Simp.
I'm sorry, Sherman. I'm sorry. Can I have my...
I was about to say, don't be sorry, she is a simp.
No! Sherman! Cat treats!
He's a simp for his treats.
Sherman is also a simp.
For his
Got it.
treats.
But the thing is, there's not actually a whole lot of new information there. But, considering how long it took us to finally get the damn crepes and soft serve conversation to happen, that they get their own cards and their own strings. No, I'm not bitter.
Neither was the crepes.
Yeah, crepes were pretty damn sweet, apparently.
Yeah?
Bless you.
Thanks.
Bless.
I don't even know if I'm allergic to crepes because I've never had one.
I wouldn't expect that you are.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you've eaten pancakes, right?
I make pancakes on a regular basis.
Same thing.
It-
Same thing.
We still have some in the fridge.
We do.
Pip.
Crep bit.
Let's-
Ellie!
Indeed.
Yeah, there's Miwako. The crepes get 3 strings, 1 for each girl. What, me petty about this? Nah.
The way you speak when you're being petty is so funny to me. Whatever, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Great. 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 Roll
Freaking
Tide.
guy dang it moment.
So you're saying we should have crepes at our wedding?
I mean, crepes are delicious. If they're made right. Sometimes it takes a little while to get them made right. Because the first couple, the pan will invariably not hot enough or too hot. And you have to keep adjusting things.
Yep.
Let's see, Miwako carries the cat treats.
I wonder what type of cat treats.
Crepe.
Crepe flavored.
Do you want crepe litter treats, Sherman?
And there, we
I
finally
shouldn't
get
say
to
word
use
too
that
much around
card.
him.
The black and white cat we found.
Don't whack me with your tail. I'm sorry. I'll be good. Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And now one last video to round off this set. Where Lantern gaslit me.
It wasn't gaslighting. It was lying.
I did no such thing.
Uh-huh.
You lied.
And what do you think gaslighting consists of? Lies!
It's advanced lying.
He was trying to
manipulating a
convince me I'd lost my mind. I'm sure of
I
it.
was doing no such thing.
And just for those out there, yes, that is a joke. It's a running joke. I am not being serious when I say this. Just for those out there that might get upset about me using the word gaslighting, it's a joke. Anyway.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Sorry.
The last video in this set does not actually show in Iori's timeline, even though she is the protagonist in it. Kind of. We'll get there in a minute. This is all the way back at Event 9. It only shows in the All Events timeline. We have moved forward to 2104, where Iori, Juro, and Juro Izumi, yes, Juro Izumi.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's Juro Izumi?
Gaslighting me, goddammit!
Are you positive it's Juro Izumi?
Which this is going to go up the same day that video does, just a few hours later, so it'll probably be funnier. But they're inside of a UFO that's buried 300 meters underground. Juro expresses worry over her in a slightly romantic light, but she kind of rejects it as she doesn't have the capacity to consider it, and she doesn't want to leave him hanging. Juro says that when all this is over, he'll talk to her again. Okino walks in from off-screen and asks if they've been able to find the source of the tremors that are shaking the UFO. Iori says the kaiju they immobilized earlier are starting to collapse, so the tunnel they used to get to the UFO is blocked, meaning they'll need another way to the surface. Okino says there's no use rushing, as no one's left up there anyway. Juro chides him for bringing it up, and Iori sighs. Juro expresses condolences about Iori's mother, and Iori says the work is a good distraction. Okino says that she didn't mean any harm and calls her Morimura-san, meaning that this is not Iori, but instead Chihiro.
And we don't notice this until 2 lines of dialogue later.
Yes, because I'm busy arguing with Lantern over which Juro we're talking about.
Oh, did I say 2 lines of dialogue? Sorry, I meant 12.
It was about 2, actually.
Well, no, cause like they were talking about one thing, and then the scene progressed, and then she was in the center of a thing, and then they called her again, and then we noticed.
Yeah, something like that. So Okino apologizes. Chihiro walks over to a glowing panel and remarks that analysis has been going on for 3 days and is only at 1.2%. She remarks that this is unusually dense, but the logical structure is not that far off from her own, and wonders if Okino was right about this just being a relic of an ancient civilization. Chihiro walks onto a raised part of the floor and wonders what that is for. Okino says something incredible, surely, and his best guess would be some sort of teleporter. She argues he's taking quantum mechanics and should know that isn't possible, but he retorts and said that's just the science we know, and alien technology might have different boundaries and rules. If his theory is correct, we might have an explanation for recent disappearances, including Chihiro's parents. Juro calls the pair over and displays a map of the UFO he located, showing it to be about 30 kilometers in diameter directly underneath the city. The saucer shape confirms this to be a buried UFO, according to Okino. The three question how it could have been hidden for so long, and Jiro remarks that it may be a government cover-up. Chihiro asks about the monsters on the surface and what their goal is. Okino walks over to a panel and displays a countdown timer. It's being emitted by the facility and started when the kaiju came in contact with the mainframe. The display reads a whole lot when it starts. Approximately 10,324,699.99999 and begins ticking backwards. That appears to be reading the number of seconds, but the seconds in the clock move approximately about the rate of approximately 2/3 of a second in our time, meaning that if I left the game running, the timer would expire in just under 80 real-time days. If they're actually supposed to be actual seconds, it would be about 120 game days. Jiro thinks that the countdown is related to a gravity wave anomaly, which Chihiro says it means it might launch, and Okino continues to continue with the analysis, as they don't have time for what-ifs. And this is the point in time where my board is going to get just a tiny bit sad. But not until later.
Oh, don't worry. It can still get sadder.
Oh yes, it can definitely get sadder. I am fully aware of how sad this board is going to get at some point in time.
No, I don't think you are.
Fear.
Do you remember what I discovered later, what I realized I had to figure out later? When I mentioned it to you?
How can events happen before the ones that happened before?
Because they didn't happen before.
Jeremy.
Yeah. We're somewhere in the dot over the I.
Kind of, yeah.
So it's Tuesday, July 63rd.
Quite possibly.
3 Jeremy Baramies later.
Well, here we are with all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, the time knife, we've all seen it.
So as I was saying before, I saw the time knife! Is this? My goal is right.
So let's see, Iori and Chihiro end up looking exactly the same. Somehow I didn't even notice that I'd already got a string there. I did not pay attention. I did not see that when I did the scan. Oh well.
I think it's because in a previous one, something like that came up, but
well,
I
it
don't
was
know.
the fact that Chihiro described the Aegis system to Iori.
Okay.
And for the thing is, after I write these down, I do a search over my main document, and sometimes it slips through the cracks. Sometimes a thing like that will slip right through the cracks. It doesn't change the overall numbering or anything, but so let's see. Buried UFO, I can put you over here. We're going to be moving some strings around. Chihiro explored this UFO.
I think I see a giant arrow pointing to the left.
Oh my god.
We had Juro exploring this buried UFO.
Oh my god, Jacket Snatcher is Cosmo and Yakisoba Pan is Wanda. And they're both connected to Takatoshi! Or should I say, Timmy Turner.
Similar hair color.
And let's see, Okino's up here.
Yeah.
Okino is down there exploring the UFO with him.
Okino has similar hair color to that girl he was sharing Cosmo and Wanda with in that last season.
Chloe.
Yeah.
She could have worked if she were there the whole time, but since she wasn't, why is she here?
That's fine. They're revamping the Fairly Odd Parents with a completely new guy kid.
Honestly, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I was apprehensive at first, but then I saw a clip and now I'm like 100% on board.
I have no intention of watching it, but I'm fine with them getting new kids, because that's kind of how the series works, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm absolutely watching it.
I was never into it, so...
Bro, that was my childhood. That was one of my hyperfixations as a child. This is huge to me. Like, it seems like it has a more optimistic twist to it. Like the first show was low-key kind of cynical. This one, there's like a little, like, bit of wholesome in there. Cosmo and Wanda love each other again. Like, Hazel's life is an absolute shit.
Yeah, it's just she moved to a new place and her big brother, who she looked up to and relied on, is going away to college, so she doesn't know what to do with herself.
That's still fairy godparentsable without crap sack shit going on.
Yeah, it's like you don't need an evil babysitter.
Okay, honestly, Timmy did not have it that bad. They just made it worse as the series went on.
Yeah.
I like Vicky as just a bitchy teenager and not an axe murderer. Y'all, she's 16. I realize this is a cartoon and logic doesn't apply here, but still, it kind of loses the element of whimsy.
And then you find out, oh no, she's only evil because she has an evil bug up her butt.
That we have to put back after we finally get it out of her.
Yeah.
When I was little, I would always turn off the episode before that happened. Because she's... hang on.
We have an unknown fate. And Chihiro's parents. Where did I put the Deimos card? I'm sure somebody else out there sees it. There it is. Put it down here for some reason.
Hey, you see someone in the comments. It's right there!
Oh, really? It's right there!
It's like me talking to Raven during God of War.
Yep. It's over there 10 seconds ago.
And that brings this series of videos to a close.
Well, dang.
Yeah, that's session 2.
Ah.
So yeah, I hope you all enjoy my slow, okay, it's not that slow. Slow, case of mentally spiraling out of control as I try to figure out the workings of this game.
Descent into madness, of course.
Are we done with the video?
Yep, this is
Almost.
that was number 2. That was the second video. The last video in the second set has now been mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
still
all
see a
makes
giant
sense to
arrow
me.
pointing to the. I still see a giant arrow pointing to the left.
See, I see a rifle. A Halo-style rifle.
That's slightly worrying.
I mean,
I still kind of see the
it's
fish.
kind of there. It's like right here, this part right here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if anyone can actually see my mouse moving. But where Shikishima is, down to Tamal Karabe here, that's kind of like the front end of the gun. And then over here near Rinya and Ayori, that's where the trigger is. And you've got this, and you've got the handle from Juro to the unnamed student, and over here to the UFO, and back to Yori. There's the handle on it. As we do this, my depictions of these are only going to get more and more worse weapons. You know this is how it's going to work, right?
Eventually, it's going to be unreadable, I think.
Yeah.
I see a hairball.
It looks like a tumbleweed. Yeah, that tumbleweed's about it. Yes.
They're far enough away, it's almost like, oh look, all those little dots are a solar system. Like those are the planets in the solar system.
All these squares make a circle. All these squares make a circle.
All these circles make a square. All these circles make a square.
Pixelism.
Yeah!
But anyway, yeah, that's been the second rundown video. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back with a new one in about 3 weeks ish. At least that's when it's going to show. That's when it's going to upload. But until then, take care, everyone.
Wait.
Bye.
Simulation theory.